From the Jazwares Pokemon Trainer Team Series Trainer Select line, this is Charizard and Garchomp. Now, I actually already own the Charizard. I've reviewed the Charizard. This 2-pack is cool, but I already have half of it. The only reason I got this really is because Garchomp just straight up isn't showing up in my area, and I wanted the Garchomp, so we got it, and, worst comes to worst, I have plenty of friends I can get the Charizard too, but even still, they've already front-loaded this package with the best figure from this line. I'm curious if the Garchomp can hold up, because Garchomp is, very possibly, my favorite Pokemon. Taking a look at Charizard first, the first thing I'll say is, I've often held this figure up as being the best, if not one of the best, action figures Pokemon has ever had. I stand by that, though I was curious if there were any differences between this Charizard and the original. But first, let's actually just look at the total package you have here. Charizard's sculpting and painting are entirely spot on to both the anime and the game designs. The proportions are perfect, including the thinner arms and the thicker thighs. And here's what I love about this figure, is the articulation. So, first off, amazing head sculpt. Love the head sculpt. But you have an opening jaw. You have a universal at the head. You have a universal at the base of the neck. Get you that far back, this far forward. In the wings, you have a hinge and a hinge. You have a universal at the shoulder. You have an upper arm cut. You have a double jointed elbow. You have a wrist swivel. You have a universal at the hip. You have a single jointed knee. And you have some articulation at the foot that's a rocker joint and an up and down. And then you have a universal at the base of the tail, universal at the mid joint of the tail, universal at this joint, and even the flame can rotate. No, it can't. No, it can't. So that's a change from the original, I guess. I'll check that, because maybe I'm mistaken. So, this is an incredibly well-articulated Charizard. Pokemon, you usually don't think about their articulated figures, but here we do have, with Jazwares' first of these trainer team figures, probably their best figure they've ever done. So, let me pull in the original Charizard. So this is Wave 1 Charizard. I got him all the way back when they first started this line. Looking at the two, I think there is an ever so slight change in the orange. It doesn't show up when you're not underneath the lights. So when you're just in store, they look exactly the same. But under the lights, I think this Charizard is just a touch darker. And I do mean a touch darker. Other than that, the sculpt is the same. The articulation is the same. Let me check the flame real quick. Yeah, no, I was just mistaken. So even the flames are the same. Wait a minute. Those blues are definitely different. So the new Charizard definitely has a lighter shade of blue in the wings, which is more accurate to have that much more of a bright blue as opposed to saturated blue of the original. So there is an ever so slight paint difference between these two. Another thing I will say though is, at least on my copy, this Charizard, his ankle's just a bit wink and some of his articulation is a little bit gummier than my original. They've re-released this Charizard a lot, so the mold might start getting worn out over time. It's still a good figure, it's still a good feeling figure, but I definitely say, at least play-wise, I still prefer the original. That said, these guys are more or less identical. So if you have missed out on the Charizard, or you just like the blue better, I guess, the Charizard definitely holds his own in this 2-pack. But like I said before, the Charizard is not the reason why I bought these figures. It was his scene partner that made me really bite the bullet here. I always say that these trainer team figures are impressive, but there have been a handful of disappointments. For every Charizard and Suicune and Articuno that I really love, there's a Zapdos, or a Typhlosion, which kind of bring the mood down a little bit. This Garchomp, because it's such a complicated design with such thin arms, I didn't know what to expect. And I'm happy to say that, at least first impression wise, this is one of the good ones. Oh my god, this guy's amazing. So, just messing with him, right? His articulation is so well hidden that I didn't even know that you had as many points as you did just looking at him. So, you of course have an articulated jaw, which is great. Here's him with his mouth completely closed. Makes him look a little bit confused, but come on, we like the good roaring mouth. We have a good universal at the head, and then a universal at the base of the neck as well. You have a universal shoulder and a universal at the elbow. Now these joints are incredibly thin, so I would tell you to be careful, but they are nice. You have a universal at the hip, that is very much hindered by the design, but it's still there. You have a universal at the knee, which is great. You have articulation at the foot, including great ankle rockers, and because the feet are so big, they'll act as a great standing base. You also have a toe joint. You have a good swivel here at the tail, and then another universal here at the mid-joint of the tail. All that articulation, and it's so well hidden. Unlike the Charizard, where like there's some points where it kind of looks bad, you have a similar suite of articulation on Garchomp that is all just entirely concealed by the actual sculpt of the figure itself. It is such a perfect looking Garchomp. There are a couple of issues I'd point out, general balancing stuff, but really, I wish there was more extension at the shoulders, and moreover, those thin joints. They kind of give me a reason to worry, because I'm worried that elbow is going to break eventually. But if you treat it with kid gloves, I'm sure I'll be fine. That's my big complaint with this Garchomp. I still think that overall Charizard's a better figure, but this Garchomp can definitely hold its head up in pride. The big praise I can give this 2-pack is the fact that Jazwares included 2 separate flight stands, but also both variations. They give you the shorter flight stand that's usually used more for like small jumping or standing poses, and the big mid-flight stand. So, they gave you both variations, and you're able to incorporate that into battle scenes, into just display options. Both figures look great in a mid-air pose. That's a great inclusion for a couple of figures like this. And it's the thing where, like, I look at a company like, say, McFarlane, and all I'm thinking is like, hey, I got 2 flight stands with these guys, and they were $35 for the pair. I can't get a flight stand and a $30 figure that you make by themselves. So just on the subject of price, this 2-pack was $35. These figures usually go for about $20 by themselves, so you're actually getting a discount buying this 2-pack. All that is to say, at the end of the day, if you like these 2 Pokemon and you've not started this line, or if you would like a second Charizard, or if maybe you just have a friend who could use the Charizard and you can use the Garchomp, I think this 2-pack is more than worth it. You get 2 of the best figures from the Jazwares line so far, and the flight stands, and they both look so good with each other. I love everything that this 2-pack has to offer, and I think that it is a great showing for Jazwares and their more collector-oriented action figures. Quite frankly, I didn't think Garchomp was going to be good, but getting him out of package, he has been great.